Hello folks, welcome to the Edipedia world and I am Abhinay Gupta. Today again we'll continue with the topic, the appointment and qualification of directors. Right? We have covered most of the topics of the chapter already. Right? There are few basic topics that are left, like we'll be discussing the rotational, non-rotational directors, alternate directors, additional directors, nominee directors, vacation of office and removal of directors. I think these are the only topics that are remaining, right? So we'll try and completing it. We'll try to complete it within the next couple of lectures, right? So in the previous lecture, the immediately preceding lecture, we have covered certain important topics like the appointment of the first director, the general provisions for appointment of directors, and also the concept that the appointment of director needs to be voted individually, right? So these were the important topics that we have covered in the previous lecture. But the topic that we will be covering in the lecture today, right? That is one of the most important topic of the chapter, right? We'll be covering section 152, subsection 6 and 7, which is about the rotational, non-rotational, and retiring directors. You have been asked questions on the same topic couple of times in your examinations, like it's more than 6-7 times in the past 10 years, right? And this also is a very important topic because it is not just theoretical, right? You have to understand the concept of calculation of the number of directors, number of rotational, number of non-retiring directors, because you have been asked questions directly on the same. You have been given the number of directors in the company. Please decide how many of them needs to be retired, or who among them will be retiring this year. That is the kind of question, direct question that you have been asked in your previous examination, and you could expect a similar kind of question in your upcoming examinations too, right? So pay great deal of attention on this lecture and try and grab and understand what do we mean when we talk about rotational, retiring directors and stuff, right? So first of all, to begin with the topic, we'll understand who are rotational and non-rotational directors. Right? We'll understand the meaning of rotational directors. So basically the term rotational has been given to those directors whose term of office will be determined on the basis of the retirement as per the concept of rotation. Right? So these directors are appointed as rotational directors, right? And when their turn comes, when the rotation comes and stop on them, right? That is the time when they are liable to retirement. And then once they are retired, they can be reappointed or someone else can be appointed in their place. Right? Now, why is it actually done? So that the board is not always concentrated with the same number of people. Right? So if the company wants, if the directors are performing very well, they could continue with that by reappointing the director. But if they do not want, then automatically after the person is being retired, right, you could appoint someone else to be taking their place. So with that, also the directors are not removed. It is not a bad mark on their career also, right? And the company gets refreshing every year. And this concept of rotational directors do not exist within the private companies. So these provisions are only applicable on the public companies, right? So now let us see the basic calculation behind it. So first of all, we need to understand the total number of directors. TNOD, right? The total number of directors. So the total number of directors in a company would be the number of directors in the board meeting, in the board of the directors of the company, excluding the independent directors and the nominee directors. Nominee directors would be the nominee director of the government as well as the nominee director of the financial institutions, right? So these particular kind of directors would not be calculated in the total number of directors. Excluding them, all the directors would be clubbed together, totaled, and then we'll decide the total number of directors, right? And once you know that how many are the total number of directors in the company, you would know how many of them should be rotational, because 2/3 or not less than 2/3 of the total number of directors in a company should be rotational directors. So that is the discretion of the company. They can have a 2/3, they can have more than 2/3, they can have all of them, right? Because the article of the company can provide for retirement of all the directors in the annual general meeting. right? But as per the general provision, more than 2/3 of the total number of directors are supposed to be rotational directors. In exam point of view, if you are given the total number of directors and then you decide how many of them would be retiring, then before retirement you need to calculate the number of rotational directors, and for that you will be considering 2/3 only, right? And you'll be giving an assumption that we have considered 2/3 of the number of directors to be rotational. So 2/3 of the total number of directors would be rotational directors in the company, and the other remaining directors would be considered to be the non-rotational directors, right? So those directors are not liable to retirement as per the tenure or as per the cycle of rotation. They will be there in the company. So now when we talk about the non-rotational directors, these directors are also appointed in the general meeting, right? So they are generally appointed in the general meeting, but the article of association of the company may provide otherwise. Now, by otherwise we mean that they would actually provide for the manner of appointment of the non-rotational director, but not the number. So the number can not exceed 1/3 of the total number of directors, because 2/3 has been allocated to the rotational directors, right? So that 1/3 can be nominated or appointed as per the requirement of the article. So even the board of directors may be authorized by the article of association of the company to appoint the non-rotational directors, right? That is one important point to understand. In the examination, you may be getting a question referring to this appointment and saying that the directors have appointed the non-rotational directors, and the article, and they were authorized as per the article. So is it correct? Right? So you need to know that yeah, that can be done, because in case of non-rotational director, the article plays a very important role. And when we talk about the period of appointment of non-rotational directors, like for how long can they be appointed, then there is no limit prescribed in the provisions. So a non-rotational director can also be appointed for life in the company. There is no restriction with that, right? And the terms of office of non-rotational director, that may also be determined as per the provisions contained in the article, if article specifies something about that again, right? So that is all about non-rotational directors. Like they are permanent directors in the company. They won't retire by rotation. Right? Now let us get back to the rotational director. So we have seen that 2/3 of the total number of directors would be rotational directors. Right? So would all rotational directors retire at the end or at the due date in the general meeting? The answer is no. Not all the directors would retire in the annual general meeting. All the rotational directors. But yeah, article may provide for the same. The article of the company provides that all the directors shall retire at every annual general meeting. It has the right to do that, right? But in general, as per the provisions of this act, as per section 152 subsection 6 and 7, 1/3 of the total number of the rotation director would retire at the end of every annual general meeting, right? So total number of directors, 2/3 should be rotational directors, and 1/3 among those rotational director would retire. So if we consider an example, suppose the total number of directors are 14, right? Or we would take a better example, there are 16 directors in a company or 20 directors in a company. That is the best thing. We have 20 directors in a company, out of which we have 5 independent directors or 4 independent directors and 2 nominee directors, right? So they will not be considered in the total number of directors. So the total number of directors that we have are now remaining 14 directors, right? So out of them, 2/3 have to retire, have to be rotational directors as per the provisions of the act. So 2/3 of 14 would come up to 10, because we would be rounding it up. So always remember, when you are dividing the total number of directors into rotational directors, the 2/3, if it is a fraction, it will always be rounded up, right, to the nearest whole number. Right? And then if 10 are rotational directors and 14 are non-rotational directors, then out of those 10, 1/3 would retire by rotation at the end in the annual general meeting. So that would be 3. Because over here it is not rounded up, it is rounded off. So whichever is the closest integer. So remember this point while we are calculating. When we are calculating the total number of rotational directors, we would always round up the fraction. But when we are considering the retirement part, when we are calculating the number of directors who are supposed to retire, that is 1/3 of the rotational director, at that time we would consider rounding off to the nearest integer. Right? So I think that was the most suitable example for you. That is clear with you now. Right? So that is all about rotational, non-rotational and retiring director. And remember, the article can at any point of time provide for retirement of all the directors. Right? And these retiring directors, if you remember, they can be reappointed in the same meeting. Right? So now that is the calculation part. Now we know 1/3 are supposed to retire. But how are they supposed to retire? So what we have already discussed in the beginning of the lecture is that they would be retiring on the FIFO basis. So the first directors, in our example, the first 3 directors who were appointed into the board would retire in the coming AGM. Right? And then the other 3 and then the other 3, and that will be the cycle that will continue. And they can obviously be reappointed. Right? And then again they go back to the entire circle of rotation, and when after all the retire, again their turn will start if they are reappointed. Right? So for example, suppose at one particular day you had 6 directors appointed in the board, and you have to retire 3 among them, because obviously retiring directors are 3 in our example, but you have 6 on the first in first out basis. So how do you decide which 3 among them to retire? Right? So that is a question now. So in the case of a tie, what are we supposed to do? So whenever there is a tie, first of all what we try is to look for an agreement between the directors. So when the directors are being appointed, and we know that we are appointing 6 directors and total number of directors are 14. So at any point of time we would be retiring 3 directors. So let us have an agreement between them as to who would retire first, which 3 among them would be retiring first. So if they agree among themselves and then they sign an agreement, then it becomes very simple for you to retire the directors. We know, okay, Mr. A, B and C were the first directors to retire as per the agreement, and D, E, F would be retiring next year. Right? That is very simple. But if there is no agreement, right, at that point of time nobody agreed, okay, I'll go out first or he'll go out first, nothing of that sort was agreed, or the company failed to have or hold an agreement, then what would the company do? So in that case, they would draw by lot. Right? They would draw the names just as per the lot, and that would be on random basis. So in the lot, whoever name comes up, they'll have to retire, and that would be binding on all the directors. Now that would not be objected. Why is my name in the list, or why isn't his name in the list in the lot? That cannot be objected. That is always on random basis. So whichever of the 6, whichever first 3 of the 6 directors whose name appears in the lot, they would retire by rotation. Right? And when they retire, the vacancy would be filled up in the same annual general meeting. Right? Now let us talk about vacancy also in detail. So we know that the vacancy is supposed to be filled up in the same annual general meeting. Right? But what if the vacancy is not filled up? If they are not able to fill up the vacancy in the same annual general meeting. If it is not filled up in the same annual general meeting, the meeting would be adjourned. Right? And that adjournment would be for 1 week actually. So the annual general meeting shall be adjourned to the next week at the same time and same place. And if for an instance, if it is a national holiday, if that day is a national holiday, then it would be adjourned to the next succeeding day, which is not a national holiday. So if there is a national holiday for 2 consecutive days or 3 consecutive days, which is a very rare phenomena, but if that happens, then it would be passed on to the 4th day. Right? That is how the adjourned meeting concept works. Right? And the meeting would be adjourned only if the vacancies are not filled up in the annual general meeting and it is not expressly resolved not to fill the vacancy. That means they intend to fill the vacancy, but they are not able to fill the vacancy. That is the only situation when the meeting would be adjourned. Right? But if they have expressly provided that we won't fill the vacancy, we want to reduce the total number of directors, then the meeting would not be adjourned and there would be no appointment. Right? And in the adjourned meeting also, again, if they are not able to appoint the directors, then what? Then if they are not able to appoint directors and they don't expressly provide that they don't want to appoint the director. That means they want to, but still they're not able to appoint the directors in the adjourned general meeting. Then the directors who have retired would be deemed to be reappointed into the company. But this automatic reappointment would not be attracted to the retiring directors if there are certain parameters which are fulfilled. Like where there is a resolution for reappointment of a director, if the resolution was put, but the director lost that resolution, then they would not be reappointed automatically. Because that means that the shareholders don't want that person to be reappointed. Right? Or if that retiring director has given in writing, right? If he has expressed his unwillingness to be appointed as director and he has given that in writing, he would not be reappointed. Right? That deeming fiction would not attract to that person. Right? And if there is a director who was not qualified, right, or who is now disqualified, so for that person also the automatic reappointment due to the non-appointment in the meeting and the adjourned general meeting would not attract. Right? Or if there is a resolution, right, which is required for appointment, like if the appointment of any director requires a resolution to be passed, right, then the automatic deeming fiction would not be attracted to that director, right, because that director needs a resolution, because that is expressly provided that a resolution is required for appointing the director. So for that director, automatic reappointment would never attract. Or if in any case the resolution has been passed for appointment, but that resolution was in contravention of section 162, which was that only individual would be appointed in the resolution. I mean, only an individual resolution would be passed for appointment of a single director. Right? Each director would have a specific resolution, a separate resolution. If that is contravened, like if there are two directors appointed by one single resolution, then in that case the deeming fiction would not attract. Right? So that is all about this section, and we know that it does not apply on the private company. It is only specifically mentioned, and the provision is specifically provided for the public companies. Right? And over here, whenever you're talking about retirement, that retirement is by rotation. Right? So that we are talking about the retiring directors are director retiring by rotation always. Right? And we have seen that in the total number of directors, we do not include the the independent directors and the nominee directors. That means that additional director and all would always be included in calculating the total number of directors. Right? So that is all about this section 152, subsection 6 and 7. So if we give a quick revision before closing the lecture, then we have the total number of directors excluding independent and nominee directors, right? Then more than 2/3 of the total number of directors would be rotational directors, and the rest would be non-rotational. And the tenure for non-rotational director could be for life also, right? And all the provisions that are provided in the Act would be written by the article. So the article would override the provisions given in the Act in case of non-rotational directors only, right? Then out of the directors who are rotational, the 2/3 directors who are rotational, we would retire 1/3 of the director in every annual general meeting, and that would be done on the FIFO basis, right? And if there is a tie when we are retiring the directors on FIFO basis, then we would look for an agreement that was entered in between the directors. And if there is no agreement, then we would retire them by draw of lot method, and whoever name appears in the lot would have to retire, and that would be binding on all the directors. Right? And we also know that an article can expressly provide for retirement of all the directors in any annual general meeting. That is the right that the article of association has. Right? And then if there is now when the directors have retired, there is a vacancy. That vacancy will be filled up in the same annual general meeting. Right? And if it is not filled up, if it could not be filled up, and there is no express provision as to there is no express provision part that they don't want to fill up, then the meeting would be adjourned next week, same day, same place, right? And if there is a national holiday, then the next succeeding day when it is not a national holiday, right? And over there, they would again reappoint or appoint a new director. And if they're not able to fill up the vacancy even in the adjourned general meeting, and they do not expressly provide their intention of not filling up the vacancy, then the retiring director would be automatically reappointed. right? And this automatic reappointment would not attract to those directors who have given their unwillingness, right? Or for whom a resolution was put and lost, or for whom a resolution is specifically needed, right? Or who is disqualified, or whose appointment has been done in contravention of section 162. So that was a brief review of the entire lecture today, right? And we'll be covering the rest very limited remaining topics in this chapter: additional, alternate, nominee directors, and the removal of directors. I think that are the 4 basic topics that is left, and also the data bank of directors, right? That are the 5 basic topics that are left. We'll be covering them in the subsequent lectures. So until then, it is Abhinay Gupta signing.